Even though years passed by, countries like France wanted to rule over certain other countries. They wanted to exploit the countries that they think are believing in them. Africa is one such which they have placed. Make sure to subscribe and press the like button. Do you think America and France will be allowed to be in Niger? Why do they want to be there badly? Even though Africa got freedom, it was at a major cost. They went at writing agreements where France got the opportunity to loot them again. Violence and terrorism were created in the region, and it became very difficult to get complete power. The groups that were allowed in Africa had the main duty to control terrorism, but instead what they were giving much importance to the interests of France. The African leaders were also threatened and put under their cell. They were scared that troops would be brought against them. Countries like the United States of America favored France and supported them, even though for all these decades, the French troops have shown their presence in Africa. They were unsuccessful in removing terrorism. They failed to prevent it and the spread of it. The Africans are planning to unite with one another. They would be a greater power if they stayed together and established effective communication between them. The global bargaining power they possess will soon shoot up if they work on holding hands together and building trustworthy relationships. There are many sincere nations which truly wants to work with Africa. They should consider them instead of allowing these superpowers to dominate them. Patriotism could be the answer to show their power to these nations which manipulate and take their land to establish a surveillance system. The area is viewed as the best spot for surveillance missions. It was in 2016 that the operations on 201 began. The operation had General Atomic armed drones, and it also had Boeing C-17, the 3 transport airplanes. For the base itself, the approved budget was $50 million by the Congress. However, the cost doubled after finishing the operations for the base level. Could you just imagine the amount of money that was spent by the United States of America? Don't you think it was too much? There will be a sufficient reason why the U.S. would spend such a massive amount. The United States sees the Niger Base 201 as a potential for further plans. They think that they will reap the benefits of it. They get a lot of information from it, be it for surveillance or information gathering. They see it as a perfect spot for reconnaissance missions. They use unmanned drones, and through them, they draw information. Every time they come up with new strategies and plans to achieve the best. The drones are used to detect any kind of threat, and it creates situational awareness. These drives will be unmanned. Counterterrorism operations are also executed with the help of drones. The U.S. is more interested in that. The primary factor determining what's terrorism and what's not is the U.S. They make the decision. These drones are used to combat terrorism in this region. The military strategies in the future depend upon the information collected here. The U.S. handles the security challenges and wants to bring regional stability. The U.S. keeps an eye on everything. It has access to monitor everything. The U.S. and France want to be in Niger, and they came to know that one more country is trying to enter Niger. Can you take any wild guesses? Well, it's Russia. Since the dawn of civilization, they have possessed wealth beyond our wildest dreams. They had enormous wealth. The hatred they encounter is largely a result of their genetic makeup and physical prowess. Black people add so much to the world, but non-black people tend to overlook it. Their greatest contributions were made to the fields of mathematics, science, and medicine. They have had a significant impact on global development. I think of them as trailblazers. However, none of this is emphasized. Black people are instead assigned a negative share. They are consistently portrayed unfavorably. The media was taken over and heavily influenced by Europeans and Arabs, preventing black people from ever having a chance to be viewed positively. Being physically superior to other people is one of black people's main advantages. The non-black people are aware that they are powerless to match them in strength. Black people's physical superiority has been apparent throughout history. This alarmed non-black people, who understood that if they were allowed to prosper, they would take over the world. Black people were suppressed by white people, and they were never given the opportunity to hold positions of power. Rather, they made them perform physical labor and made use of their strength for that purpose. They were not allowed to apply for advanced jobs. Black colonists in Europe were not considered equals. If they were placed in a position of authority, they believed they could defeat them. They saw black people as threats. Because of this underlying fear, Aristotle and other philosophers discussed the concept of social hierarchy. and it is evident that there was a class of people who were slaves. Black people made up the majority of them. They were subjected to cruel punishments and were dehumanized. Because they were thought to be less sensitive, the non-black people thought that the blacks were incapable of feeling the pain that was inflicted during the punishments. The dominant genetic genes posed a threat to the non-black population, according to them. Non-black people do not exhibit genetics when they have children with black people. They believed that black people would be to blame for its extinction. They made an effort to prevent people from mating with black people. They were afraid of genetic extinction. They observed that both black and non-black newborns have noticeable black features. This is still the prevailing attitude in society. It appeared that black people's intelligence posed yet another danger to non-black people. Black people were subject to various limitations when they were treated like slaves. One such prohibition was that they were not permitted to write or read any literature. They were not introduced to paper and pen. The non-blacks believed that if the blacks learned to read and write, they would outsmart them. For a long while, the world of knowledge was never far from them. They had little trouble toppling the oppressive system. Their combination of strength and intelligence will prove too much for the oppressors to handle. They were aware of this, and it was for the same reason that they had long mistreated black people. Following the abolition of slavery, black people were denied access to quality education. Even though they were able to attend school, they were not treated equally. Black students attended schools devoid of resources and funding. This was a move by non-black people to portray black people as dependent and less than human. They desired that no opportunity be afforded to black people. They believed that by taking these actions, black people would be viewed as inferior by the general public and would not be considered for high positions. This had a negative impact on society because a sizable portion of the populace stopped contributing to improving the world over an extended period of time. They did not value their strength or intelligence. Rather, historical evidence points to oppression and discrimination. They didn't deserve to experience this, yet, despite everything, they recovered with full power. The Africans are planning to unite with one another. They would be a greater power if they stayed together and established effective communication between them. The global bargaining power they possess will soon shoot up if they work on holding hands together and building trustworthy relationships. There are many sincere nations which truly wants to work with Africa. They should consider them instead of allowing these superpowers to dominate them. Patriotism could be the answer to show their power to these nations which manipulate and take their land to establish a surveillance system. Do you think Russia will get access to Niger? Is the United States of America and France going to be in Niger for the coming years? Let us know in the comments.